Hello there, friends, and welcome to another episode of Football Manager Therapy. I'm your host, Jeb, and I'm joined today by the United City FM. Kev, how are we?
Hello, mate. I'm good. Thank you very much. It still sounds very weird when it's not host Rich Owens to me somehow. You'll do a fantastic job, but it doesn't feel the same somehow. But yeah, I'm good. I'm very good. Here on a New Year's Eve. A happy New Year to you as we progress through. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this morning. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
How are you doing? How's the world treating you?
I'm good, thank you. Callum and Rich can't join us because they're busy. I think they've started the New Year's Eve party already, so like...
Pretty much. I think they've been going since Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. So they're unable to join us. So it's just me and you today, Kev. We've done podcasts before. We've gone away with it before, and we'll get away again, even if there are meddling kids involved.
Quality over quantity. It's fine.
Exactly. Everything's fine. Everything's hypothetically fine.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, exactly. I've had an interesting Christmas, New Year. I say interesting, really boring actually. Not done that much. I've streamed a little bit. Morecambe has gone from and then gone a little bit all right, but we'll go over that in another week in the time coming. But speaking of Football Manager, I think it's we're 2 months in now, or 3 months if you include the early access. Just about, and we've enjoyed the game. We're playing a lot more of it. I think we've all commented that we're all playing a lot more of it. But I think it's time for a little review, like of all the little things that we found that we've really enjoyed and the things that we've not enjoyed so much about the game. And I think both of us have brought some points together, and then we've also brought points of what we actually need to do ourselves. And I think that's where we need to go. So I'll let you start off with. Let's start with the positives. Let's start on a positive footing, and I think let's do positive, negative. And we'll come up with one each. That works quite nicely.
Yeah, fine with me. Okay, so we're on a positive. It might seem a really small thing, but I think it's really significant. And so my first positive, an half loads up well, doesn't it?
Yes.
There you go. That's my positive. It really does. It just flies through the whole saving process, loading in process, but just the processing between matches and other bits and pieces just absolutely shifts. Now, obviously, it helps if you've got a great computer. I happen to have a great computer. That's fine. But even so, it really, really shifts on the loading screens and other bits and pieces. And whatever they do every year to make the game bigger and better and bolder, but still manage to get performance in a better way as well, I think is almost pseudo wizardry. I'm very impressed by it, but it really, really loads well.
I think the thing that noticed more than anything else, and I don't think he's released it anyway. It's exactly the same anyway. Nerdphonic has that affinity settings that you put in your Steam profile or your Epic profile, and it sets your process to use less cores, etc. I've not had to do that at all.
Me neither.
And you usually got to like midway through a season. You're usually during a transfer window, and you're there streaming away, and then all of a sudden you're like, and you go really, really slow for audio listeners. You start slow down. Everything's like, what's going on there? And that's just because the game is taking up so much of your computer. I've not had to sort that yet, and that's really significant. Like I said, just the way it flies through, it loads up really nicely. There's no stuttering. There's a bit of processing going on there, but as you get further in, you're always going to have more because more players are coming into the game. The new gens are coming into the game. There's more fixtures happening, particularly if you go from. To be fair, I started up with the Morecambe save and I've not put any of the lower leagues in, so it was just League 2 and above, and I was like, what have I done here? I need to fix that. So I put North and South back in underneath, so that went in there. So even with that, and then all the other leagues loads up around it, it's smooth as anything. It's lovely.
Yeah, no, it really is.
And I think like you said, the processing, and I think one thing very, very good on the processing side of things is the ability to smooth those saves over. We've experienced with the network save. The only negative on that, just a slight negative, is set piece coaches. They've not carried over in any shape or form. They've not created a load of them.
You had to mention that.
No, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, because there was only 2 set piece coaches in our carryover on the network save. But actually, if you dig in deeper, all the teams have a set piece coach, so you can just poach them from elsewhere. But there was only 2 available. But that carryover has been really good, especially network save. because it just feels like we're playing the new game now, and everyone's like,
Yes.
"Oh, how are you 4 seasons in already on a network game?" It's like, well, we're about half a season in this year.
Yeah.
We're
still doing it a year and a bit.
we're still going at a lot faster rate than we were last year. But yeah, it's I've really enjoyed that carryover, adding all the new things to there, and Neymar. But there we are.
Well, yeah, we don't talk about Neymar. Well, we do. I mean, how have you got Neymar? I mean, no. Let's change that. Why have you got Neymar, for goodness sake? Can he run still? I mean, he's like 34 or something, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I question. So if you're unaware, in the network save this week, I picked up 33-year-old Neymar for £10 million and 350 grand a week for Wolves. Like, he was available. Like, I went for it. I was really worried about him because he was putting out stinkers in the league. 6.2 and a 6.4 were his first 2 fixtures. Like, oh no, what have I done? Then the Champions League last 32 came round and he gets a goal from a free kick. It's like, brilliant. And then he gets 3 assists as well and comes out of a 10. I was like, there you go. Paid
He's
for,
there
done.
for the big games.
Exactly. Paid
That's
for,
what he's
done.
there for.
And his next game is going to be Barcelona. So there we are. Stay tuned for when we do that next.
Yeah, you see, my biggest issue, just as I pull the curtain back on the network save from the last stream that we did on the network save, is that my new player didn't have Champions League to bring out a good performance for, and he's been dreadful in the league so far. Lorenzo Luca came in as my number 1 striker because Mitrovic left. Mitrovic has got 3 in 5 games for Everton. Lovely, happy for him, really happy. Luca's got none in 4 for a 6.55 average rating, and it's been a lovely thing. So yeah, yay Neymar.
And I think, yeah, like the carryover in particular, and I think it's important for other people who play the game a lot casual. That's not a word.
There's a word in there somewhere.
Yeah, more casual basis on the laptops, etc. And when they're watching TV or sport, well, sport on TV. There we are. It's having that ability just to carry on what your legacy of what you had last season as well, and having all the new features added to that. We can wax lyrical over all the new features, and I think we will on several points of them. But I think one of the things that's not changed, and I'm going to start with the things that we're not appreciative of, press conferences. They need an overhaul, and I think like I've tried to do them in my own Morecambe save. I've ignored them obviously in the network save because we don't have time for them, and it's just still the same. Second from the left, click, 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 click. You don't even know what you've answered. You might have compared your striker to Neymar, or probably somebody better, maybe Mbappe or something like that. But yeah, there's just nothing original in there, and it's starting to feel very, very stale. It might be a case that it all changes next season, where they might even start integrating things like AI. I mean, who do things like that with voices?
Who would?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they might look to start to integrate like different questions or different types of answers just based AI, where it's a little bit more intelligent. But currently, it's still very, very stale, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's one of the aspects of the game that I haven't done anything with in 24, even with the freshness of the new game, where you go, right, I'm going to do everything and experience everything again and reset it and make myself better. And I just haven't with press conferences. Unfortunately, there are many people telling me that you'll get better results and better responses and the blah de blah if you do them and stuff. My Colwyn Bay team are sitting top of the league, so I don't know how much better it could go in that sense, and I haven't touched them, and that's a real shame. And the response that, you know, they're supposed to be boring and dull because that's what press conferences are in IRL. Okay, I get that managers get asked the same things. I get managers that don't really want to do press conferences, but there's got to be a better way of doing them, surely, at this point, because it's been the same for a long time. We saw a couple of other aspects of the game get a bit of a rejig and a reshape and a buffing up, as it were. I think it's time for press conferences. If anybody's got any bright ideas as to how they do that, let SI know.
Yeah, definitely. Come to my side. So we've gone speedy through those bits to start off with. I think we could spend a lot of time on praising set pieces. I think I imagine it's on your list already anyway.
It is.
Yes. So set pieces. Oh, just the ability to change who heads the ball and where. It's just the simple things like that. How you want your corners to be set up. You can
Yeah.
have routine. You actually use the routines, because I don't think I ever used routines in any of
Mhm.
the previous iterations of FM, because it was you just do near post or far post. Granted, I
Sure.
still do near post and far post as my two first options, but now
Mhm.
I'll maybe throw a short corner in there just to mix it up.
Oh, I love me a short corner.
Yeah.
They're going pretty well. Now, I haven't quite managed to get the top of the box option working just yet. Maybe that's the level of team that I'm playing at and all that currently. Maybe higher up the pyramid in British football, I might be able to get some more joy out of that. So I've struggled a little bit with that one. I'm thinking of changing my top of the box corner to a far post corner just because I think it might work better for me at this point. But yeah, set pieces in general, there are lots of positives about it. Now, the first positive, as you alluded to, is that once you set up your system of where you want your players to be and how you want them to be, the fact that the game then moves the right person into those roles for you just because you've made substitutions or picked a second string 11 or whatever it might be, it's still using the same parameters to get your best person in those spots that you've identified, is a game changer. It's an absolute game changer. And it's not, as you say, it's not just near post corners that it can do that for. It's not just corners that it can do that for. Free kicks, I haven't quite got the joy out of just yet. I feel like there's more to tap into there, but I love a throw in FM24. I really do. I still harp on about my other set piece that I really want to be better is a goal kick,
Yeah.
because I want to overload spots there. I still have that as an issue. But set pieces, the way that it's set up, actually, I saw 2 or 3 streamers when the game first came out look at the set piece stuff live on a stream and just absolutely steam was coming out their ears in terms of, I think they broke their brain in terms of figuring out. But once you spend some time in it and understand how the priority lists work and where you can set your priorities and how you can set your takers and where they're taking it and how they're crossing the ball in from corners and all, once you figure all of that out, it's really good and it's quite intuitive, I've found anyway. And I think the results are there. There's more variety. And it's not just a near post corner anymore, and it's not just a corner anymore. There's other things you can do definitely in and amongst the other options there. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
I think like you mentioned, the throw-ins have been broken before. People have just
Mhm,
just put long throws on, you'll score every single time. Now you
mhm,
have to decide which way you want it, and it's quite simple as well. And I like
mhm.
that because throw-ins should be quite simple. They don't need to be anything overly good. You don't need a routine
Yep.
or anything on those. Free kicks, I need to delve in more. I fully hold my hands up. I'm not really delved too much into free kicks. It's corner kicks
Mhm.
at the moment. Although corner kicks on defend, and this was something I raised in our what do you want from FM23 counter attacking goals. I think it was the first network game I got to counter
Mhm.
attack and scored. It was like, yes, this is the
Yep.
greatest game ever.
I
Yeah,
remember that.
and it's still happening, and I've been counter attacked upon as well because I put too
Uh-huh.
many people in my aerial threat, and everyone's gone surging forward, and I've had one poor defender on his own going, help, oh no, it's too late, it's all gone wrong. But yeah, I think that has been really, really positive, and I think it's, like we
Mhm.
said, the just that simple option of going, I want these 3 people in the box, make
Yeah.
sure these 3 people are definitely in the box and people are doing other things. I think that works really nicely. The yeah, I think set piece is definitely a massive positive, and I think it's definitely changing the way people are approaching the game as well. And
Mhm.
like real life game, a lot of it is about set pieces nowadays. The amount of
Yeah.
corners that are scored
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
is becoming more and more realistic.
Mhm.
Go on then,
Yeah.
Kev. Your next
What
positive.
am I on a positive? Okay, let's go with I'm sorry, Jeb. I kind of have to do it. I feel at this point. I'm just generally going match engine. I think, it's a bit of a broad spectrum.
This is going to be a really
And
short podcast because that's on my list as well. So yeah,
it's fine. We're
yeah,
here for half an hour.
yeah.
Happy New Year, everybody. You can go about your day. It's all good. But yeah, the simple reality is I've got a couple more negatives to go through that will overlap this because they are aspects of the match engine. But in FM23, I spent a lot of time watching the matches and not particularly enjoying them. And I couldn't have always expressed to you exactly why I wasn't. There were one or two things I thought defenders were stupid and other bits and pieces that were really harmful to it. But I just didn't quite feel at ease watching it at times. I didn't enjoy the experience. I really enjoy the match engine of 24, even if I'm losing. And now I don't like losing. And there's, as a manager on a stream, and I try and change that and figure out ways in which I can make myself better and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't bring out the same feeling to me, even when I'm losing in 24. There is something about the flow of the match engine, the fact that those players are more intelligent, the defenders are able to compete a bit more with the offensive players. But there's that one key thing that they mentioned in the build up to the game. The players on your team interact with each other better, and they find their positional sense better, and they move in a better way, and they understand shape and formation and structure and other bits. Now, you can set them to do stupid things, and if you do, you'll come a cropper. But the actual intelligence within the match engine is far better. The smoothness of it is much better. I really, really like it. And it's not always identifiable, but it just doesn't bring me the same feeling as watching 23 did.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's sometimes worrying when you see somebody do a step over pass as your centre back when you're 2-0 down. It's like, just start doing things like that. But then it's those positions that are starting to like become a lot more prominent. Defensive wingers. I think they FM23, there was a few people using them. Nowadays I'm seeing a lot of people use them because they're exciting to do. They press a little bit more. You also get back when you want them to. The libero, like as a free at the back, having a libero in the middle last season wasn't amazing, but now it's completely transformed the way I play it, particularly on the Wolves save. Manu Kone as my libero has been fantastic. Like, he's developed into that from being a defensive midfielder or central ball-winning midfielder. He's now a libero, sat at the back in the centre of defence, and he's wide centre-backs outside him. It's great just to see that vision of, like, they call it the John Stones role. There's other players before John Stones who did that role. It's not just the John Stones role. But yeah, it's great to see that's actually working quite nicely. Like I said, those little tricks as well, just the tiny little spins or the step over passes and things like that. It's really nice to see as well, just coming to there. I know they've been on before, but they just look smoother and they look more natural.
They do.
It's starting to look a lot better. There's a few bits on the match engine, not the match engine itself, still the stadium bit. We laugh about the Wolves stadium where there's a disabled parking space underneath one of the floodlights and there's no obvious gate anywhere for the person to get in. That one disabled parking space they have at Molineux. So yeah, it's those little
which
things.
Is mine, by the way. I've got my name on it now.
Exactly. You got your name. You just can't get in the stadium, unfortunately.
No, absolutely.
Unless you want to try and start climbing the floodlight. But no, I think the match engine has been wonderful, and we've obviously met a wonderful head of the match engine in Nick Madden, and that was like we said, it was a shame that you could not make it that week, but it was such a fantastic podcast, and he was such a lovely guy, and it was great to get to know him. And he's obviously now a friend of the podcast, so he's coming back. He's definitely coming back. We know that much. But I think there's there. Now I'm just gonna go. There's another negative that I'll bring up, or a disliking thing. This is going to be the trivial one, and this is going to be the one that you'll agree with, and you'll know exactly why. Spoke about having 3 defenders, or having 3 midfielders, or having 3 forwards. Putting them into place is the most frustrating thing in Football Manager ever.
It just brings me out in heart palpitations thinking about trying.
You want to have 3 central midfielders all on the line together. You try and put that person in the centre. Nope. Guarantee it'll take you 10 times just to get that click. And you don't know if it's your fault or not, or if it's the actual, it's just that bunching up of things. It's so annoying.
It's an absolute madness. And it's been there for years.
Yeah.
as an issue. I genuinely don't understand. I just thought it was me, if I'm totally honest, being completely incompetent half the time. And it could well have been, but it's just nice to have a therapy moment of understanding that everybody else is having the same problem, because it has been an issue and it does drive you to distraction. I've played three in midfield a lot over the last few years, and just moving that person into that central three, yeah.
Sometimes you just give up and go, I'll just have a defensive midfielder or a
Yep.
shadow striker instead. It's fine. I didn't want three up front. So no.
I don't understand why it's a thing, but it's so annoying.
Yeah, exactly.
So annoying.
It's like, yeah, honestly, it's very, like I say, very, very trivial, but very, very, I think it will have annoyed every single player of Football Manager out there.
That's the thing about it being trivial, is absolutely true and fine in its way. But when you play as much as we do in the way that we do, the little trivial things happen so often because we're playing it so often. So it becomes less trivial and, just really annoying. Sort it out, SI.
Yeah,
Come
definitely.
on.
Sort it out. Yeah, it's one thing we want for FM25. Screw your Unity engine. We just want to play three in midfield. Like, nice and simple. Even just make it so you can just select the role and they move into that position automatically. I don't know if that's probably already a thing and I've not even realized you can do that. Hopefully not. Yeah, so
can I go a negative?
Yeah, go on then.
Go on. Let me get a negative out, because you know me and my rage. I mean, I'm full of it, obviously.
definitely.
So, okay. So the next one occurred most recently, but has often occurred through FM, but most recently in our network save last week. So picture the scene, everybody. For those that don't follow our network save, my Fulham side, remember that, Fulham, okay, my Fulham side, season 4, we're sitting second in the Premier League. So just to reiterate, Fulham second. Okay, right, here we go. In the summer, I bought Gvardiol into my squad, and I thought that is a piece of business. Now, what my intention for him was that he would play on the left-hand side of a back four as an inverted fullback. So when the ball moves forward, he would tuck in, become a back three, play kind of pseudo central defense for me, but still be out on that left-hand side, create balance, all that kind of stuff. I thought it was a great idea. The problem is, and it was my error, sort of, well, a lot, but that's fine. I had unfortunately told him in the negotiations he'd probably be playing central defense. Now, I get that that's a promise. I get it. And I get that he should be able to say to me, Kev, I'm not playing there. But we are, remember, Fulham in second in the Premier League. And last week, halfway through the season, he came to me and says, I'm really unhappy with you. And I went, why, Josko? What's the problem? He says, I'm being played 5 meters out of position. How very, very dare you? And I went, yeah, but we're going quite well. And he says, but you made a promise to me. And I thought, for goodness sake, he became unhappy. Other team members came to me saying, we're unhappy with how you've treated Gvardiol. And I'm sitting there thinking, we're Fulham and we're in second position in the Premier League. It's working. Surely the player would be able to come to me and say, I'm not particularly happy about having to play left back at the moment. I can see that it's working. I'll give you some leeway with it. Is there a way in which we can talk about me moving to my preferred position, or am I going to have to stay there? Obviously, I'm under contract. I get it, blah, blah, blah. But none of that. He just throws his toys out the pram, causes a problem for 3 or 4 other players, and we're Fulham and we're in second in the Premier League. Drove me nuts, for goodness sake. So, yeah. Thanks for the therapy moment. I appreciate
that's fine. I've had something similar with a player that I had on loan at Morecambe. I had him on loan, and I wasn't playing in position because that position doesn't exist in my system. So he couldn't play as an attacking midfielder winger because I don't have that in the system anymore. So I was just playing him on the left hand side of midfield, and he was complaining about it, and then he just kind of went, "I'm all right now. It's fine. I'm quite enjoying playing here. It's working quite well." And I think I had him on loan from Brighton. So De Zerbi sends me a message. You're playing him out of position. I was just like, yeah, but he's fine about it. Like, yeah, well, you're playing him out of position. And they recalled him off loan. I was like, great. I was like, okay, fine, if it's that way. And I think, kind of leads me on to where I have a little frustration is the transfer system is still a tiny bit broken, maybe
Right.
a little bit more than a tiny bit.
Go
I'm
on.
having issues getting rid of players. That's still the same. Transfer room, the intermediary thing doesn't really come off too much. I think I've done all right in the higher leagues. Lower leagues, trying to get rid of some players is an absolute nightmare. But it's also the negotiating, and it's the petty negotiating. Please, can you just eliminate this petty negotiating where you go, I'll give you, let's say, a player's worth 30 million. I'll give you 25 million for him. And they go, ooh, that's nice. We want 40. Okay. I'll give you 35. Ooh, we want 50. And it just ends up spiraling out of control.
The wrong way.
Yeah, it's the
You're
wrong
going
way.
the wrong way.
Yeah, it's going the wrong way. And then I know it's a thing. I know agents are dirty, rotten scoundrels.
They are a thing.
Dirty, rotten scoundrels, but they still are exactly that. When you go, oh, here's the wage demands. Yeah, can you lower them? Yeah, we'll lower them. He only wants $1,000. That's fine. Then you go into negotiations and he asks for $2,000. You're like, let's talk about. No, I want more. No, I want more. And it's that spiraling, that little transfer, the contract negotiation system just seems to still be. I think petty is the right word for it.
It's a strange one. Now, this leads me on to think that our friend and podcast co-host Rich Owens might have some voodoo witchcraft going on, because I watch him occasionally in his What's the Story Former Glory save that he's doing on Twitch at the moment. He negotiates really well somehow. He just walks in and to an agent and says, no, that's not good enough. How about that? And the agent goes, well, I mean, fair. And then the next stream, they go, there you go, sorted. And he goes, thanks, I got what I wanted. And I go, how? He's full of voodoo and witchcraft, is Rich in so many ways. I mean, what he does in his personal life is up to him. But yeah, somehow he's managed to figure some of that out. I agree with you. I think that it's still a little bit broken. I feel like, I think maybe there was a misconception slightly that the intermediaries were just going to be a magic thing that changed everything. And you stroll into their office, go, can you get rid of a player? And they go, yep, sorted, done. There you go. There's your money. It doesn't work like that. It's a bit of a process. You have to go back and forth with them a bit. But yeah, it's not quite as smooth as it maybe could be. I agree. And whether they work on that next time round or not, I don't know. But yeah, I have yet to experience properly enough time at the top of the game in 24. I'm playing lower level stuff most of the time to know whether it's the same everywhere in that sense. Other than, Chelsea was a madness in the beta, wasn't it? But yeah, I don't disagree with you, but somehow Rich Owens is a voodoo wizard witch of some sort. That's what we learned from this.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it might be something that's addressed after the January transfer window, and also see how the January transfer window goes. But my word, Saudi Arabia are aggressive. I mean, if you're looking at network save, De Bruyne, Van Dijk, half of Rich's squad, half of my Deadwood have all gone to Saudi Arabia. And I think that probably just needs balancing a little bit. I think January, particularly in normal football terms as well, I don't think as many players will be going to Saudi Arabia. I think they've kind of spent all the money. They've all hit the quotas and stuff.
Yeah,
and the success it's bringing is take Steven Gerrard's team with Jordan Henderson with their 700 people watching them, and they're losing quite a lot. It's not really paying off for them.
Here's my hot take over Saudi for the next year and a bit. I think quite a high percentage of the players that are already there will leave and go somewhere else again, to be honest, because I just don't think it's what they expected or wanted it to be necessarily when they arrived. And they'll have got, their wallet lined with lots of cash, and that's fair enough for them. But I don't think they're all going to stay. I think you'll see an exodus over the next 6 months of a few key players potentially. So we'll see. But, it's certainly a madness in FM terms if you can get the right players. Now, my Fulham side, remember, Fulham second. We don't have anybody being touted to go there, really, which is disappointing in a way. I'd like a £60 million bid on my £20 million player, please, if you'd like to, but so far, not.
Well, I think at one stage with Wolves, I had my entire back five wanted by the same Saudi club, and then multiple others wanting other players as well. And I think that was the other thing. all the players wanted to go there as well. It wasn't, I'm really interested in going to this club when you get to the transfer offer, which doesn't make much sense when we're in the Champions League and we're going quite well at Wolves.
Really doesn't.
But that's, I guess that might be the modern way. Money does talk, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. Can I break the trend and go another negative?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Because all of my negatives are coming out now, Jeb. This is the problem. You've opened up a can of worms here.
Sorry about that.
Because I've only got one major positive left, and so I need to balance it out later. So yeah, my next negative is something you and I were chatting very briefly about before we started recording, and it's purely my thing. Possibly, I don't know whether other people feel the same way or not. There are too many deflections in the penalty box. And it's not that I don't have a problem with defenders putting their body on the line and blocking shots and, being defensively solid and all that stuff. What I'm talking about are there are so many long-range shots that go through the box and out the end of the pitch, and then all of a sudden it's a corner kick, and you go, I didn't see a deflection or a deviation on the ball. I didn't see who got close to it somehow, but somewhere in that group of players, somebody touched it, and it happens all the time. There are far too many deflections, it feels like to me. Not enough shots that just fly through, miss everybody, and go off the end of the pitch. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's how I'm watching the game in terms of the highlight package that I'm using and all that kind of stuff. But it's just beginning to grate on me a little bit that I don't see the deflection, or I don't see the deviation of the ball enough to know that one's happened until somebody says that it's a corner. So that's one of mine. Personal, maybe, but there we go.
I think I had one the other day where a shot went off the post, it deflected off the goalkeeper, then it hit my defender, and then it just fell into the path of the oncoming striker. So yeah, I was really annoyed at that. I hated deflections then. I've had a couple of lucky ones my way as well. But yeah, like I said, I think the frequency seems to be a little bit too much. Yeah, I think I've not noticed it massively. I think I've had a couple of free kick deflections as well that have gone in my favour as well, which has been nice. But yeah, I think it's very similar with the post. Like I've done my RDF impressions many times on the network, same where I'm hitting the post on the bar. I think the other day where I hit the bar like 4 times in the space of about 10 minutes. Just fuming at it, like, come on, we can get a goal eventually. And I think I remembered what my negative was. It was something I said, but I couldn't remember what it was. And I remember what it was because I posted it in the Discord.
Oh, yes, you were thinking about it, yes.
Posted it in the Discord the other day.
Okay.
My youth intake, and this is this might be a bug, but I'll go through my youth intake for Morecambe. Give me a second. Let me just find that lovely picture. Yeah, there we go.
Funny.
Centre backs. We don't have particularly good centre backs going through. C. Strikers. C. Pierce short of standard. Central midfielders, not a good year. Wingers don't have a lot of quality. Intake lacks quality in goal. There isn't quality at fullback. There isn't anything in wide midfielders. And I think wing backs, we don't have any, and attacking midfielders, we don't have any. So 2 ratings as a C, 2 ratings of a D, everything else below an E.
Yeah.
What does it say in the top corner? This is a terrific group of players coming through and has the potential to be a real golden generation for the club. 5 stars. What? What?
Oh dear. Yeah, that made me chuckle when I saw that the other day. Yeah. That is a bizarre one. Yeah, I didn't get that at my latest Colwyn Bay one. They said nothing above an E, they're all terrible, and it didn't say they were excellent in any way. So it seemed to match up. I don't know what happened with yours, but it's a weird one, isn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely is. It was a strange one, and like I said, for the youth intakes and under 18s, I think the development is a lot more clear, and the pathway, particularly. Shout out to Sasmaj, that wonderful skin that he has where you can see the progress and the development on the player screen. That's started. That is probably the first thing I go to, particularly in the Morecambe save, because I've got a load of kids. And you go and look in and you just see how they're developing. And that's, to swing it the other way, that's been a real good positive as well, just to see that youth development is taking a lot more precedence. And not just youth development, I think the middle-aged, mid-20s players as well, watching their development come through, how they change, because it's really interesting. Yeah. But
no, that's fair. That's cool.
Do you have a final positive, or you got a few
Yeah, I
more?
can give you another positive.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's one that I wouldn't say is scientifically experimented on, but it's my feeling at this point, and somebody will have to tell me otherwise. Now, and I also think it might be slightly different for draft mode as I venture into that a little bit. But in the main game, one of the other positives for me is mentality. Now, the reason I say that is that because it's felt to me that over the last couple of versions of the game specifically, that literally the only mentality that works is positive. That if you go attacking, it's too much. If you go defensive, you sit back and nothing happens, and you know invite everybody onto you. And there might be an occasion where you can rotate between a couple of them to see a game out for 5 minutes, but sometimes that doesn't work for you and stuff. This time round, it feels again, it's that intangible thing of the match engine as well. A little bit, it feels to me a little bit better in terms of being able to use some of those different mentalities. I often have a situation where I've got my 3 tactical spots have got pretty much the same formation in it, some similarities in style of play, but one of the big differences is mentality, and it just changes the way that your team process the game a little bit and play around the ball and other bits and pieces. And I've really enjoyed playing about with that. I haven't yet, and I might at some point, depending on the league that I move into or whatever as we go forward. I haven't set up my number one tactic to be a defensively minded one yet. As the main thing that we do, because a lot more teams want you to be a bit more progressive than anything else in terms of their demands on you. But the mentality seems better. I can see where being a bit sort of cautious and then counter-attacking off of that would work this time round. There's some stuff that I want to work more into in terms of structure of play, in terms of counter-attacks and stuff. But because the defenders seem more able to compete and more intelligent, it feels less of a danger to be slightly defensively orientated. So mentality is mine. I don't know what you've experienced of it yourself, but right the way up the spectrum, I think there's a place for each of them. And I don't think I've always been able to say that before.
Yeah, definitely. I've played a fair bit of cautious this season, particularly well as Wolves and as a Morecambe as well. It's worked really well. Like I've had a couple of really big wins where I played at home cautious.
Yep.
3 at the back, a defensive midfielder, and then defensive wingers, and even like a wing back as well. Just being quite a lot of people in the bottom half of the pitch, and maybe 1 or 2 strikers up front. And that's it. And that's worked really well for me. It's started to become a go-to tactic, which I never thought. I mean, go back just over a year ago where me and Alice had to argue which is better, 4 at the back or 5 at the back. Oh no. It's well, to be fair, I've got 3 at the back, so it's
Well, yeah,
I'm going
neither
less
then.
now. Yeah, I'm going less defenders, so let's go for it. But yeah, I think I've enjoyed that. I think the mentality, particularly the training of formations as well, and I think on the mentality side of things, I think that tactical mentality is really important. Also, the mentality of the players has been really, really important. Go back to that 16-game losing streak I had, and this week I added an 8-game losing streak on stream as well. I got frustrated. And lucky for me, the game actually crashed. It did genuinely crash, and I went back into the game where it crashed mid-match, and we lost that anyway.
Yeah.
But it was just sitting there, taking a little bit of a deep breath, and then going, right, how do we change this? How do we make this a bit more positive? And like, obviously, the players' morale is in the bin completely. So it's those team meetings, hoping they go positive. Obviously, they did, and it's praising the right people and telling the right people off. And I think that has been really important in this game, and I've had it in Wolves as well. I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it's just me, and I don't know if it's other people as well. I only play in streaks. That seems to be either win all my games or I lose all my games. Draw, what's the point in drawing? Nobody wants to draw. Yeah, and I've had lots of them. I mean, I've had 10-game winning streaks. I've had 16-game losing streaks. I've had 8-game losing. I think I'm on a 6-game winning streak with Wolves. I don't want it to be a streaky. I do want the variations to come in, but I think it's also the mentality of your players as well. If they're happy, they will go do brick walls for you, go through brick walls for you.
Yep.
But Yeah.
It is after all morale manager.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what we
Morale as
say.
spreadsheet manager. And I think there's a few players that are standing out that really enjoy being happy. I mean, like Neymar, happy in the Champions League, happy on the world stage. He gets really good performances. Doesn't really want to go away to Brentford because it's a bus stop in Hounslow, apparently.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it's yeah, there's that, and then there's the I think I was slightly there was a negative tilt I had on this, which is obviously the way my brain works. That's not very good to say. But yeah, and it's going to frustrate me what that was now. Never mind. If it comes back to me, I will let you come up with the next point, and I probably will come back where I was with it.
Okay, so I wasn't sure whether you were going to take either of these particularly. We're on a negative. So I'm going to put them both out there and we can talk about them both because if they're not on yours, they're definitely on mine. Posts and pens. Too much woodwork, too many penalties. It's kind of that simple. It's a simple one in a lot of ways. It's just about balance again, and it's the balance isn't quite right. Same for me with the deflections earlier. It's about balance. I don't mind that they're in the game. They should be in the game. It happens, but does it happen as much as they're showing me? I don't know. Maybe that's just because I'm playing on key or extended highlights. We're not seeing the full picture. I get some of that as well. But it's within the context of the game. These ones I think are more obvious. There's too many penalties. There just are. It's happening sort of every other game or whatever it is. And what does it normally happen in a season? Maybe half a dozen times for your team, potentially. It feels like there's a big imbalance there. And the woodwork just gets hit a lot. Cracks the woodwork, drifts over the top of the bar, or it smashes the post and comes back out into the penalty box or whatever it might be. And again, some more casual players won't notice it in the same way, but when you play it as much as we do, you tend to. It's just a balance thing. And if they were to tweak the balance of the posts a little bit, I can hear RDF just celebrating this in the background somewhere in his home because I know he's a proponent of that. They've got to redress the balance of it slightly. I'm sure they can probably find a statistic that will prove us wrong. And they'll say it's perfectly balanced because look at these statistics of how IRL posts are hit and all that stuff. Maybe that's true. It feels off to me, but penalties even more so. They're just far too many of them.
I think there's far too many goals as well. It might just be because my Morecambe side conceded 7 versus Accrington and then conceded 6 against Grimsby in the 8-game losing streak they had. But then we reverse played Accrington and we beat them 4-0. So it's like it's almost the shift in morale was there, but I think there are too many goals.
Okay.
So to speak. I say this, there was a period with Wolves where I think we scored 2 goals in 4 games and conceded none. So I don't know now. Like, am I right or am I wrong on this? Is it redressing itself as the game goes? Like, obviously, there's always those little tweaks going on in the background. Is that one of the tweaks that's happened? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's too many goals in it. I mean, there's a lot more goals in football, but I think that when you get whooped in the game, you really do, because I think Wolves have had a 7-0 loss actually in the network save as well. I think we got beat by City or something like that 7-1 recently. Not sure.
No, I have noticed that there are the occasional anomaly where seemingly you just get a ridiculous amount of goals in a particular game, like 11 goals between the two sides, 7-5 or something random. You know, it feels a little bit odd. 6-5. I know that wasn't 11 goals. My brain is not working. Anyway, it alerted me. It went, that's wrong, Kev. That's wrong. You've said the wrong thing. Nice. Fair enough. I covered it. It's fine. Yeah. But yeah, so I think the outliers there. I don't know. I mean, what do the viewers and listeners think in terms of let us know? Are you finding that in lower leagues there's just a bucket load of goals because it's all so random? Are you finding the top leagues not so much? Are you finding it across the board? Where does it lie for you? For me, I don't know whether I've genuinely sat there and thought, I think there's too many. I feel like there's the occasional game that feels a little bit out there, but then that's kind of football, I guess. I suspect they would fight us on that one, SI, as a potential issue. But yeah, what do other people think? Interesting.
Yeah. And this is, I'm not going to call it a negative.
Go on. You can call it what you like, Jeb. It's all good, mate.
But your world.
Mine?
No, the your world save, the start of it.
Yes.
I think that's become out of date already. I think it was
Right.
fun to do
Okay.
in the early access and probably fun
Mhm.
when the game started up. But
Mhm.
if you want to do it now, it's I don't know. I don't know which way they move it a lot. I don't know if they bring it back in so you could start in January and you can do your
Mhm.
world from the start of January. It might be something they've already got planned in. But
Mhm.
I think it's become very out of date, particularly for obviously teams like Chelsea. Chelsea was a vastly different landscape in your world to what it is now. I mean,
True. Yep.
I think the 11 would be completely different to what it is in your. So that's good to see. But I think
Mhm.
it only has a very limited shelf life. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but I think that was probably a fair assessment of it at the very beginning of the process as
Yeah,
well in October, November, that there are going to be a few people in a few scenarios that want to use this. Now, I mean, for you and I, excuse me, as content creators, when we go to places like Morecambe, whether we had your world or real world or anything else wouldn't necessarily make a lot of difference to us because we don't know the clubs necessarily we're
it
going
would
into
for
too
Morecambe. They
much.
only had 8 players. So
I mean, that's fair enough. Absolutely. At Chelsea, it was a fun thing to do because it meant that the four of us on the podcast could recreate something from a particular point, and compare and contrast it, and that's fine. For somebody like myself looking in on the game, there's a moment every so often where I desperately want to get my hands on Man United and redo it somehow in my own image a little bit. But then you could kind of do that from the real world stuff as well because Man United are broken in the game. Really, it doesn't take too much to sort them out. It should take more than it does. So there are scenarios where the real world is still kind of fun and interesting. But yeah, I think I'd like to know at the end of the game cycle from SI what the statistics are in terms of those 3 starting points and how many times they've been used, because I would imagine that the original one is just absolutely dwarfing all of the others ultimately. So yeah, you're probably right that it kind of served a purpose. It got people interested. It played a different way for a little while. As the game cycle progresses, it probably settles back down into the original more than anything else. But I'm all for giving opportunity and difference and having those in the game just for any time you decide you want to do a weird £600 million transfer window with Chelsea.
yeah,
Why not?
definitely. And this might just be my lack of experience in using it. And this was
Mhm.
probably my final positive, and it's something that I've done recently. So I had Marco van Basten at Morecambe.
Go on.
It's
Yep.
a bit of a joke, and
That's amazing.
I try. So this was one of the frustrations with the. Actually, I couldn't find somebody answered on a postcard for this one. I was trying to loan out one of my players, and I was
Mhm.
being offered 100% wages, which was I was asking 50% wages in the
Mhm.
instructions. And Marco van Basten was just rejecting every loan that came in for him, and even though
Right.
they were all offering 100% wages on Chukwuemeka, I think it was, and
Mhm.
I just couldn't get rid of him. I was like, well, why do you keep blocking it? Stop block. Right, I've had enough. Kicked him out the door. Marco van Basten, go on, off you go, back to Amsterdam. Had enough of you.
Wow.
So, not sure why that was, but I brought in, of all people, former Liverpool sporting director Julian Ward as as director of football for
Mhm.
Morecambe. It was a bit of a coup. Nice. He's got
Yep.
15s negotiating, judging ability, and potential. But I've
Nice.
actually now had him, and this is something new to me. He now starts off the player recruitment for me.
Okay. Mhm.
And I think I've done this before, and it's been dreadful because they
Mhm.
just bring in dross
Yep.
players that you'll never pick out, players that you never think. And he's brought in 2 players for me, or he's brought up 2 players for me who've been really, really good. And I'm like, so like loan players, people bringing on loan, even just a couple of free transfers, and he's gone, right, start the negotiations. And he's like,
Mhm.
yeah, I agree with this. I never thought I'd agree with a director of football. I've not seen the point in them.
Interesting.
So I don't know if there's been a tweak to that. I don't know if
Mhm.
it's something that it's just because I've not really done before,
Mhm.
but I might actually start utilizing a director of football properly.
See, that is interesting because I stopped doing that a number of iterations ago myself. I used to have my director of football doing those sort of negotiations, bits and pieces in and around there, still having a say in it, a point in the journey of a negotiation, being able to go yes or no for myself a bit.
Yeah.
But they were doing more than they currently do in that context because I feel like the same as you were saying, they just make bids on ridiculously bad players and it just made no sense. if they've changed that, that's another really interesting thing. But again, they did suggest the AI around the game will be better. And if that's one way in which that's showing, that's really interesting. And then, of course, you get the difference between the different directors of football and how they go about it. I mean, surely, Jeb, with your 16-game losing streak or whatever it was, and the fact you had Marco van Basten as your director of football and you fired him, surely the fans would have revolted at that point, saying, "How dare you get rid of Marco? He's at Morecambe, for goodness sake, Morecambe!"
Yeah,
But you know,
I don't think they cared. I don't think they even knew he was there because I wasn't utilising him in any shape or form. But yeah, I think that, like I said, we'll see how that one goes. But so far, it's been quite positive, and I don't know if I'll take it to Wolves, because Wolves is a particular set of players, and I don't think they would have recruited Neymar like the genius that I am. But yeah, I think I'm out of my point on there, but I think we said almost like a personal reflection. I guess our positives, what we want to do more of, what we need to do less of, etc. I think that's where we want to go. I'll let you start with what you want to push on.
So I got a couple of things that I want to look at specifically in 2024, let's say, within FM24, that I've not really done as much as I could do. One that I've already spoken a little bit about a few weeks back on pod, so we won't go too deep into it, but I haven't changed it yet. I'm still thinking about what that looks like. It's the match plan. I still feel like there's an untapped potential in the match plan somewhere, and I haven't been able to figure out exactly where it fits, because I've used it before and it hasn't quite worked here and there in other iterations. But again, if the intelligence of the game is better and how things are implemented is a bit better, maybe there's something to be used here. But match plans, they fascinate me. The first 5 minutes sort of plan, the last 5 minutes sort of plan in different scenarios. Is it just going to confuse it? Is it just going to take it away from something that was working for you because you've got to this particular point in the game and now you're changing it arbitrarily? I don't know is the answer, but there's something in there. It's there in the game for a reason. Now, I haven't figured out the reason necessarily in terms of, is it for players that are less experienced that may be able to set something and just leave it like they do everything else and it might work for you over time? Is it for the more in-depth player like you and I that play a lot of this game, that want to minutiae detail a few bits and pieces that might actually make a percentage difference here and there dotted through various aspects of the game? I haven't got it to work yet, but that is definitely something I want to have a look at in 24. How and in what context, not 100% sure. If anybody's got big experience of using it and successfully using it, please come and tell me how you made it work, because I don't see anybody else really using it. I'd like to, but it's a little bit baffling just at the moment. So there you go. Match plan is still definitely one for me. Have you got one for yourself?
Data Hub.
Okay.
I figured out how to get all my reports in it, but I'm not
Nice.
utilising those reports at all.
The
only one that I've looked at my attacker output, because I've got the three of the best strikers in League Two. So it's like, yes, look how good they are. That's all I've done. So I need to more use it for who's playing well, who's not doing so great in the positions, how the team are performing in terms of their transitions and defensively, I think, more than anything else, because I think attacking wise we've not got issues. And it's putting those on how we utilize those reports and actually pay attention to them. I think it's similar to we could say that staff meetings is another thing that needs to be improved. But utilizing the information that you're given and then applying it, and also applying it to training as well. I have gone quite in depth on training plans, but I've just utilized RDF. I'll put a link into the video to RDF's training video, because it's really good of how you train your players. You don't train players under a certain age on specific positions. You just let them play in those positions and they can learn that way. And then you train more on their individual skill sets, or the I can't remember the word of it, but there we have the individual training aspect of it rather than positional training. So Data Hub would definitely be something I need to utilize more of. I also just need to slow down, and I think that's it's the natural process of a stream was like next game, let's get to the next game, let's to the next game.
Yeah.
And I think we're doing it. We're quite good at it on the network save now because we have been quite poor because we want to do 10 games in a session or we're sitting down. But I think we have slowed down to about 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Granted, that's down to I'm still in the Champions League, everyone else is out, or somebody's still in the FA Cup, everyone else is out, and we're slowing down.
And just making Rich laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm spending
too much time in the lab crafting Roy Keane conversations with Luke Chadwick and Carlton Palmer. Well, no Carlton Palmer this week. We couldn't find him. He was lost. He was out with May, Scholesy.
He was having a big bit of lunch. That's what it was.
May, Scholesy, Poborski, and all the old Man United 90s players.
Lukey Chadwicky.
Yeah, Lukey Chadwicky. He was there as well. But yeah, I think slowing down, sometimes just taking notice of where you've got your players and where your problems are as well, because sometimes you become spamming that continue button. Sometimes you can just go down and go, look, oh my word, he's got a 6.4 average of the last 3 games. So it's taking notice of that, and it's also definitely, particularly on the losing streak side of things, is making sure I change the tactic or change something quite significant so there's something new and fresh.
But it kind of all ties in though, doesn't it? Yeah. Because I think that what I'm really bad at within this context specifically, because there are many things, Jebbaroo, that I'm very bad at. But within this context specifically, the speed thing, you're right. I tend to just go through and power through on my streams and not focus too much. And then between the 2 streams, I kind of have a half an hour on my own where I sit and go, so what was working? Why was it working a little bit? And I should do a little bit more of that on stream itself. But I also feel like the depth of looking at the data hub, because that's what your main point was, I tend to do that when it's not working very well. And I'm confused why it's not working very well, because I wasn't paying attention to it when it was working well. And why that was working and how that was fitting together and which players were playing at the time and, which combination in midfield I was using, whatever it might be. So I'm not got anything to base why it's gone wrong on all of a sudden, because I haven't been paying attention when it's successful either. So both sides of the coin there really on the data hub. I use bits of the data hub. Things like momentum graphs are really important to me. I love a momentum graph to see how the individual games are going. I like heat maps to know, where are you positioning your players? Are they higher up the pitch or lower up the pitch compared to your opponent? Can you step onto your opponent a little bit more? Those kinds of things I'm using a bit, but away from the match, there's still a lot that could be learned there. But yeah, I'm not paying enough attention to know when it's going well, even let alone when it's not going well and you're in a panic trying to figure something out. Those 3 tactical spots in your setup are vitally important though, aren't they? Just being able to rotate to something else for 3 games and just give it a go and see what happens, but still have your main thing over here left ready for you. When you get that bit of momentum back again, you can flip back into something they're more familiar with, the lines show up with again, and off we go to the races. It's too quick. I am too quick, definitely.
Yeah, and I think it was a spot of football manager therapy I undertook the other day. So after my 8-game losing streak, the game crashed, raided to some gentleman called the United City FM, had him on the background, nice calming influence on in the background. And the game reopened, simulated the game that we'd lost, and we lost again, so that was fine.
Yep.
Obviously wanted to win, but then I would have felt like it was safe scumming, but I wasn't, so that was good. But then I sat there and I just started to tinker and just take a little bit of time just to have a little tinker around, have a little look around things. Played a couple of games. Next game we won 1-0, and then the next game after that we won 3-1, and it was just like, there you go. Just change that, change the system. Players have gone from absolutely furious to hating me to being really happy again. It's like amazing. And I think it's that bit in games as well. Like you said, the match plan could be really important. Because the one thing, and I think we'll come back to another positive about the game, is that momentum in the game, how much that matters now. How many times I've conceded a last-minute goal, or how many times I've scored a last-minute goal to win is... I think it's more times in FM24 than it ever was in FM23.
Sure.
So that's definitely a positive, but then that's down to your doing rather than down to anything else. And I think it's important that you make those tweaks, but don't over tweak. I think I've always said about never over tweak, never go. Right, I am 2-1 up. I'm going to put waste time on. I'm going to put everyone into a defensive mentality, and you know straight away you're going to concede if you make. And you're just confusing the players. You make tiny little tweaks, but you don't make overscales because I think we said, and this, I might be completely wrong about this, but we said, could you imagine if you were a player on the pitch and you're there, you're playing right back, and then somebody comes onto the pitch or there's a drinks break and the manager goes, right, 5 minutes left. Can you waste time more frequently? Can you play the ball a lot longer? Can you also sit deeper? Can you also attack down the right and actually overlap on the right as well? But then also run at the defense and also get stuck in and actually just tell the goalkeeper as well while you're here. Do you see you need to take long kicks instead of short kicks? Thanks.
And also not get in the way of the wing back that I'm now putting in front of you as a fullback just because I want double up on that duty and not do the same thing. Totally. Absolutely.
So it's just trying to apply
too much.
Apply logic.
But you see that I think that's where mentality is at its most key moment, because mentality does a lot. Keeping your same shape, same sort of pattern of play, same distribution lanes, all that kind of stuff, but having a slightly different mentality about it. So it might slow a bit down because you've gone a bit more defensive minded rather than the positive, for example, if you're trying to protect things. I think that's where mentality is king a little bit in that kind of scenario. But yeah, totally. The most joyous moment specifically of a drafting game is when your opposing manager changes everything and you go, brilliant. Thank you very much. Bring that on, because mine are settled. Yours are completely chaotic. Now, once in a blue moon, you'll find something and it will work for you, because Football Manager is weird and football is weird. But more often than not, if somebody's changing that much, you've got 7 of your 11 players going, what happened? Where am I? Who am I? What? It can't work. I get it. Totally.
Okay. Fantastic.
Lovely stuff.
I was going to say, do you have any New Year's resolutions for FM?
Okay. What have I got? I mean, a lot of the above in a way. The match plan is definitely something I want to have a look at. Probably, we often say slow down on the streams a little bit, give a little bit more. Viewers like the detail, but we kind of convince ourselves that they don't, that they have to see 12 matches in an afternoon rather than, figuring out why your tactic isn't working instead, whatever. So there's stuff in there. But I have got one thing left on my list that will fit nicely into a New Year's resolution. And it's something that I've begun, but I think I can do more with it. And it is completely different for me. A small change. I'm currently playing 3 at the back with my Colwyn Bay side. Now, the reason that it's a big departure for me is that quite seriously, over the last few iterations of FM, I could not get 3 at the back to work. It didn't perform in the way I wanted it to. Defenders weren't smart enough. The line in front of the defense weren't interacting with them in the way that was logical to me somehow, to make sure that we weren't getting overrun in particular areas, all sorts of other bits and pieces. So I avoided it because for whatever reason, I understood the back 4 better for me personally and how that fit and worked together. So I'm currently working with a 3-5-2. And it's something I'd like to think about, and maybe even draft mode as well, because my drafting, I've done 2 drafts. One with wish list, which started really slowly and then eventually got a couple of results and seemed to work, but we didn't quite get where we wanted to. It was a bit frustrating. And then this last week, I did a United City community draft and got absolutely battered. And it was just ridiculous how bad my team were. Now, there were probably player problems in terms of which ones I brought in. There was a bit of a balance issue in midfield, I think, and other bits and pieces. So I'm looking for something slightly different. And maybe it's the 3 at the back. It hasn't always fit me before, but that's one of my New Year's resolution. Do something a little bit different. So watch this space on that one. It still gets me 2 up top, so I can still play my big man, little man. But yeah, 3 at the back. There you go. That's mine. What about you?
Win more.
Oh, brilliant.
It's
Fantastic.
as simple as that. Last few FMs, I've not won anything. I've not won a Premier League. I've not won a Champions League. To be fair, I've not even won I've won a Serie A and a Serie A Cup. Oh, to be fair, I won the Europa Conference League last season. But yeah, win more. Go out and start ticking off that trophies. I mean, Rich is already ahead, and I think we said we were going to do a little trophy counter, and Rich has already got 2 trophies in his cabinet this season. So yeah, I think it's maybe push a little bit more. I don't think we're going to win the Premier League with Wolves this season, but Champions League, who knows? Probably not. Barcelona next, we'll see. But yeah, I think I want to win more, and then also and this is just a personal thing. I think it's been more confident in pressing that go live button, because some days I'll sit there and go, I'm going to go live, going to do everything. I just don't do it. I just don't do it. Usually I sit there and I go, oh, I'll go live. Oh no, they're on. I was like, it doesn't matter who else is on. It's my stream, and like I said, thank you to all the viewers and all the people who've followed and all the people who've come in. I've been enjoying my streaming quite a lot, but I think it's just have more confidence to press that go live button and enjoy it. Schedule is really difficult for me to commit to just because of the nature of my job.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think even just trying to find that regular position where to stream, etc., would be lovely. And it's obviously just grow this lovely podcast more. And I think we've done really well the last few weeks, and it's been nice to see the positive feedback and lots of new faces appear in Discord or on comments or even just like Twitter posts about us as well. It's lovely to see, and we just want to keep going. And we
do.
We've really enjoyed it, and we've really enjoyed everybody's feedback.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I get all of that. I think, to talk about your streaming stuff, schedule is really hard when you've got so many other things, but it's kind of the thing that sort of takes that away as an issue for me, because I just know 3 till 5 p.m. every weekday afternoon I'm going live. And so I just go live. I don't think about, it's just what my day is based around now, because there's a structure to that. And that's one of the reasons why I did what I've done for myself, because it was about structure.
Yeah.
So I get that totally. And I also feel like if I have a week off, like I have recently through bad health, that first one back, even for me at that point, then becomes that thing of, have I forgotten how to do it? Will anybody show up? Is it going to be good enough? Have I got whatever? Am I going to have another 2 days off in 3 days from now? And is it going to be disjointed? So all of that naturally falls into your structure, because your schedule is random, and you're going to stream of an afternoon one day and an evening the other day. And so I get all of that. It's just about reminding yourself why you do it, isn't it, really? As to what the purpose of it is. And as for the rest of it, you are totally spot on. I quite openly said for 22, the best thing that I did in FM22 was be part of the playoffs. The best thing I've done for FM23 is be part of the podcast, definitely. I don't know what 24 will bring. It will just bring bigger and bolder and better for the podcast, I hope, more than anything. But it's been brilliant. Just, the 4 of us together. We had an episode last time out where the 4 of us were together for the first time in a little while, and it just works and fits, and it doesn't take anything extra to make that work. So I love the podcast. I love where it's going. I love the fact that we're growing all the time, and it's just really exciting. Who knows where we'll be in a year from now? It could be anywhere, but yeah. I hope everybody else is as excited about that. We've got some plans, a few people potentially coming on in the not too distant future, more guests and other bits and pieces. And hopefully at some point we'll get, another live scenario of some sort, whatever that looks like, as well. And that will be fantastic. But yeah, it's been fantastic. And the as you say, the last couple of months and the growth that we've seen has been really awesome. So thank you very much to everybody for that. It's fantastic stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And as always, tell a friend.
Yeah.
And then tell more friends. And then just keep telling lots and lots of friends. And then we'll have loads and loads more people. And then
get more friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just go tell random. No, don't go tell random people in the street. Right. Anyway, I don't know about you, but I feel that feels like a podcast.
It definitely felt like that to me, so I'll go with it. Absolutely was, and a lovely one at that. Thank you for being a Jeb. I appreciate it. It's it's always a bit strange when the others aren't around, but I think we did all right.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Let us know in the comments. Make sure it's all positive. Thanks.
I was going to say only if you're nice. I can't cope if not.
Yeah, be nice. Thank you. But yes, So that's us done for this week, Kev.
Yep.
If you want to do any shout outs, any community shout outs this week, or anybody in particular you want to push on?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because at the moment, I'm kind of in the situation where I'm watching kind of the same people at the moment. I haven't done a lot of venturing out into the community for new people for a little while, but so the normal ones, love Llama's stream, FM Llama, his Monday, Wednesday, Friday streams are a big part of me. Tony Jameson of an evening, a couple of times a week is a key one. So I love those guys. We've got the likes of Steak Bake we shouted out in the last couple of weeks ourselves. He's a good one. I'm going to have to go Salty B, though, just for today. Salty B has got a great stream going. Now, here's the rub for you. I can't say that I particularly frequented Salty's stream a lot before FM24. That's just me being honest. There's lots out there. There's lots of things. I have other things I do. I wasn't always in Salty B's stream before, but he's got a Wonder Kid save, and a lot of the viewers and people that are in his viewership are part of the save, and I put myself forward for that, and I am part of his save. I am a Wonder Kid in his team, and the only way you get your Wonder Kid to play in his team primarily is if you show up on stream and chat to him, and then he puts you into the team most often. And so I've been doing that a bit recently because it's just fun to be involved with other members of the squad in the chat and other bits and pieces. So his Wonder Kid save is brilliant. He's doing a great job with it. I'm doing quite well. Got a few goals. Vice captain of the club. Having a lovely time. So yeah, Salty B, go check him out this week. And you can still be part of his save if you want to put yourself in the game. So go and do that.
Yep, there are around 80 Wonder Kids there. And I've shown up for his past 4 streams. I think I hit my watch streak of 5 today. I'm out on loan, though, so I never get to play. Yeah, it's such a shame. But we did get to witness a Rich Owens hat trick when he showed up this week.
Yep.
And also during the network save, unfortunately, we couldn't all watch it. But I heard you got sent off and you're banned for 4 games.
I did in a playoff, which didn't go great. We didn't get through the playoffs, apparently. But yes, we all play a character sometimes, Jeb. My natural demeanor of being the nice guy of the FM community, I am full of rage on Salty's stream. That's my entire character. I just want to hit people and hit walls and headbutt things, and just because. So getting sent off is no problem to me at all. And he was actually quite proud of me, I think. So I'll take it.
Fantastic. I'm going to shout out D-Boy Plays. I think Callum will definitely get behind this because he's wrote about 5 theme tunes for Callum's stream.
He has.
And they're not jokey Declan Moore songs. I don't know who'd do things like that. Yeah. And he's been doing some great streams on Twitch as well. It's been really nice to see. And like I said, he's very inventive with his music and stuff like that. He's got a Mediterranean journeyman going on currently. So yeah, D-Boy Plays, boy spelt with I, so BOI. So yeah, check him out. Obviously you can find me at twitch.tv/the Jebbaroo. No, it's not. It's twitch.tv/Jebbaroo. God, I don't even know my own side of things, but yes, that is where you can find me. Kev, where can we find you? Obviously?
You can find me at the United City FM every weekday afternoon over on Twitch, 3 till 5 p.m. Come and join us. Colwyn Bay, 2nd tier, top of the league at the moment, going pretty well. See if we can get up. Come and join us.
Fantastic. And you can obviously find Why Callum at Why Callum, and also on YouTube, his YouTube series as well, continue alongside his Twitch save.
Yep.
And Rich Owens FM for Rich. Anyway, that's been Football Manager Therapy. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Bye.